Good morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever you are tuning in from. Welcome to the Truck Around and Find Out podcast, where we discuss some fun and hot topics surrounding the trucking industry, safety, community, kind of our lives here in Northern Colorado. Today, I am your host, Keith Couch of Rush Truck Centers, Greeley, Colorado, and I also have Rocky Mountain Peterbilts on YouTube. Ryan, well, you have Luke here too.
Yep.
Without him, this would not be happening. So we do have Luke here, and Ryan is probably sitting on the beach in his Speedo in Jamaica.
He sure is. Yeah,
that's a heck of an image.
All weekend.
So Ryan's not here today, taking some time off. Don't know if it's earned or not, but that's where he's at. So it's just Luke and I here today. So today, what I thought I would do is just kind of go over, since it's just me, go over speccing trucks. What's kind of some things that I do every day that a lot of people don't see. A lot of trucks, you got to buy, number one, you got to buy the right tool. You want to make sure that it can do what you are buying it for. That's number one. I have seen a lot of guys say, well, yeah, that the previous salesman said it would pull this. And it's like, yeah, it'll pull it, but it won't stop it. And they're just destroying their trucks. And my philosophy is let's overbuild the truck a little, spend a little bit more, overbuild the truck to do the job that it's supposed to do, and then that truck will last a long time. So that's kind of how I do it. If I jump right in, like if I was sitting here in front of my software speccing a truck, one of the first things is engine choice. And in my world, it's the PACCAR MX motor or the Cummins X15. Biggest thing you got to look at there is reliability. Doesn't matter how efficient they are. If they don't run, they're not reliable. And they're in the shop, they're not making you any money.
True.
Dealer network access is another big one. The downside to the PACCAR MX is you got to have a PACCAR dealer. So it's got to be a Kenworth or Peterbilt dealer in order to plug into that computer. Then have the software to adjust things on that computer. North of us here, north of Colorado, there's not too many PACCAR dealers. I mean, they become few and far between when you get into Wyoming, Nebraska, North, South Dakota, Montana, Idaho. They get hard to find. Whereas with a Cummins, you pull into any town. John Deere has Cummins computers. John Deere uses Cummins. And so about every town has a implement dealer.
Mm-hmm.
So anybody with a Cummins computer can plug into the truck and at least figure out what's going on.
Yep.
So that's the biggest thing that's very nice about the Cummins is just the commonality. Warranty, that's another deal. Warranty costs are about the same, and the warranty times are about the same. But if there's a warranty problem, I know I was dealing with this one. I won't say any names or anything, but we had a company buy a heavy haul from me, and we're having troubles with mass airflow sensor. And so the driver's like, well, just do this and just do that. And it's like, we can't just do it the way the driver wants to do it. We have to follow exactly what Cummins says to do.
Yep.
But both are fairly easy to work with. Cummins probably a little bit more so. You can also look at fuel mileage. You can look at longevity, ease of service. Are you keeping it for 3 years, 10 years? What are you looking at? So generally speaking, when I sit down and I spec out a truck, I'm generally selecting the Cummins X15 motor because of all the reasons above. It's a little more money than the PACCAR engine, but it just runs. PACCAR engine's not a bad engine when it runs. But the problem is they've had so many injector issues and things like that it's caused they've got a big black eye right now. And I don't want to bash my own motor because PACCAR builds the Peterbilts. I don't. And if I'm driving one down the road, it sure is nice to drive. But it's just reliability issues with that is plaguing it right now. Until they get those fixed, we probably won't see too many in the trucks that we stock at Greeley.
Yep.
So downtime probably leads into that more than anything. It's just all the downtime that can cause. Second thing you probably want to look at is your transmission. Manual versus automatic or automated. And automated are different. An automatic would operate, obviously, we all know what a manual is. An automatic operates just like your car.
Yep.
Got a torque converter, all that. An automated is a manual that is shifted automatically. It shifts it for you. So it's just got a clutch, no torque converter. So which one is the best one? You're seeing a lot more automated come out because computers are much better than they were even 10 years ago. The Eaton Ultra Shift was guys are like, no, I don't want that. Well, when that first came out in the early 2000s, you had a clutch. You had to shift it into the first gear, and after that, it shifted itself. So it's kind of funky, especially when you came to a stop sign. You got to push in the clutch, but it's been doing all the shifting. Mm-hmm. So it was odd, clunky. Backing up was a nightmare, dangerous, because it kind of herky-jerky backing up. The new ones, the biggest one I sell is called the 18XD Pro, designed by a guy, Corey Snowden at Eaton, and I've been in a truck with him. I've got a video up on Rocky Mountain Peterbilts. You guys can go look at that, where we leave Keystone, Colorado, come up over Eisenhower Tunnel, down to Highway 40, and go north up and over Berthoud Pass to Winter Park. Turn around and repeat and retrace our steps. Mm-hmm. And on the way back, we had to stop for snow removal of a small avalanche. This was in February. We're on almost a 7% grade. And that truck, we had a car pull right up behind us. We're at 80,000 pounds. And I thought, oh, we're going to slide backwards into this guy because we're on hard-packed snow. Mm-hmm. And Corey said, don't worry about it. And I'm like, well, I am. I am worried about it. But the engine and tranny talk to the traction control so well, I don't think we went backwards even a 16th of an inch.
Wow.
It just took right off. The most impressive part is we did that whole route. We got back to Keystone. The most impressive part is he said, I never used the brakes, the foundation brakes, the service brakes on the truck and trailer.
Wow.
Just the Jakes. All of that.
That is impressive.
That's serious mountain driving.
Yeah, it is.
Add in the snow and ice, and he never used the service brakes. So that made me a believer in the 18XD Pro. And even the new 12 speeds, they're much, much better than they used to be. I did see something, and Ryan, and you probably know a lot more about this than I do, but you can get a CDL with an automatic-only endorsement. Mm-hmm. Somebody told me that. This is probably a year ago now, and I was like, what? What are you talking about?
Sounds ridiculous, but...
Yeah.
Yep.
But he said, well, I can drive it as long as it's an automatic. And I'm like, how did you get your CDL? And he goes, no. And he showed it to me. I made him prove it. Mm-hmm. And it had an auto endorsement on it. And I was like, okay.
So with this automated, would that qualify as an automatic? Very nice.
It would. It would qualify as an automatic. Hmm. So we're putting more of those. And one of the competitive things that we're doing in northern Colorado is a local competitive Kenworth dealer is selling dump trucks. Mm-hmm. And they got a set price on them. It's not a bad price. But they're putting a PACCAR engine in it with an Allison 4500 RDS. Mm. Now, an Allison, I love Allisons. They're great transmissions. They are bulletproof. It's a giant mechanical fuse in the truck. They are pretty much idiot-proof. They're a good engine, so I'm not throwing rocks at Allison. But the cost that we can save by going to an 18XD Pro, they're less than half the price of that Allison. And then we take that savings and put it into the engine because the Cummins is a little bit more money. So we're selling the same trucks, the same axles, pretty much the same spec for the same price, but you get a Cummins with an 18XD Pro, so 18 gears, versus a PACCAR with an Allison with only 6 gears. Mm-hmm. Now, there's reasons. One's an automatic and one is an automated. But the 18XD Pro is doing very well. And if it was my choice, I'd say, I want the Cummins. And I'll take the XD Pro, not a problem. Because it is doing very well. And in the past, they didn't. Especially if you're off-road. So that's one thing we're doing here. It's something to keep in mind. You can get an 18-speed automatic. For lack of, for ease of communicating with people, we just tell them it's an 18 automatic. It's something that if you're speccing a truck, you might consider because that is an excellent transmission and it keeps your costs down. It is more than an 18-speed manual. You're probably looking real cash money about $7-8 more than a manual. However, it shifts really well. I can get it all the way put behind a 605 2050 torque. It'll go right behind that. It'll handle the torque. The largest motor I can put behind an Allison 4500 RDS is a 565 1850 torque. Now, the biggest difference is you can do full power shifts with the Allison, just like your car or pickup or anything.
Yep.
The 18 automated, you'll see a drop in engine RPM, it shifts, and then your RPMs come back up, just like you would shift a manual.
Yeah.
So there's a few minor differences, a little bit of a learning curve, but you can put it in manual mode too. So you can control what gear you're in. If you're in the mountains and you say, no, I want to stay in third, you can lock it in third. Wow. So that's not a problem either. One of the other things is probably wheelbase. Most guys kind of know what they're going to need for wheelbase. Most are a little more open to axle ratios. The biggest thing we've seen in the industry over the last 10 years is what they call down speeding. So getting your engine RPMs down. You're seeing the peak torque curves down around 1100 RPM now. That's where you get all your torque. It's just at 1100. So the good news about that is you get better fuel mileage. Your engines last longer. We're seeing a trend and have been for several years from the taller, bigger tires to the 22.5 low pros, 11R 22.5s, to the point where even at truck stops anymore, I guess 11R 24.5s are almost impossible to find. So, but you can find 11R 22.5s and 22.5 low pros. So we're speccing 99% of the trucks that come through Rush Truck Center in Greeley with the 22.5 tires, either low pros or what we see a lot around here is 11R 22.5s, which is the same rolling diameter as a low pro 24.5. So just FYI. The lower the gear ratio, so like if you had a 264, 279, 336, 355, the higher you go in number, kind of the worse your fuel mileage, the faster that prop shaft's going to be turning. So most of like the custom 389s we see come through there with 11R 22.5 tires, we're in that 336 to 325 gear ratio area. And if you got an 18 speed, that gives you the best of both worlds. You just change your gears on the tranny to climb up to Eisenhower.
Yep.
Your rear gears, and that didn't used to be the case back in the early 90s. It was all about rear end gear ratio. So with the new 18 speeds, you can change your gears in a different component than the rear end. So, but it's all about trade-offs. It's just like anything else. Fuel economy, power, pulling, it's just everything's a trade-off. And the higher you go in your gross combined weight rating, like these heavy hauls, most heavy hauls are at least a 390 gear ratio. Most are a 410, 411, just depending on the manufacturer of the rear end. And we've seen some with the Allisons, you're at 456, 478. A lot of feedlot trucks are at 478.
Dang. Pushing
fives, because they only have to go a few miles an hour, but they need their engine RPM up to run the augers and the mixer boxes and everything. So gear ratio, that's a very, very personal to everybody's specific haul, I guess you would say. And then we get to the stuff you see, which is the sleeper, large versus small, your weight considerations, chrome versus practicality. Can't put a price on cool.
No, you cannot.
But the problem with the chrome around here is the mag chloride they throw on these highways. Drives me crazy. It just pits it up.
Yep.
So we're almost better off doing painted surfaces versus chrome surfaces or polished stainless steel surfaces because it does pit.
Yep.
You see that. You see the little pock marks. And a lot of people say it doesn't matter if it has chrome or not. It still hauls the same. That's a true statement. But if you look at some of the fleets around here, they're the nicer the truck. Some of these guys, some of these fleets have stacks of resumes on the corner of their desk for drivers because they want to drive their trucks.
That's right.
And a Peterbilt has always kind of been a driver's truck that everybody wants to drive a Peterbilt. And we see some fleets in these remote areas that struggle to get drivers, especially if there's more than one trucking company in the area, but everybody's driving a Freightliner or a Western Star or something like that. A Max, Volvos, whatever.
Yeah.
We've seen, and I've seen this firsthand, where we convert them to a nice extended hood Pete. They are spending more money, but it's not the same truck. You got an aluminum hood, and it's got the quintessential look. It's the cool truck look and everything. And they'll see drivers migrate over to their company because they want to drive Peterbilts for the same money.
Yep.
They'll drive for the same money. And the other part of that is if we can set it up on a nice rotation, a trade-in rotations, we can keep their resale value up. And so they get more drivers, a little better resale. And we can probably match or beat, when you figure it all out, the cost per mile that truck cost them. We can probably get it to about the same, if not better, just by going with resale. So just something to consider. It hasn't been, it's getting harder and harder to do with all the new emissions coming around.
Yep.
And right now the truck market's really screwed up. So it's kind of a mess right now, and nobody's got a crystal ball on what's going to happen in the next year other than new emissions as of January 1st. But a lot of these trucks, Peterbilt now included, is you can hook up your Apple CarPlay to the nav screen, and a lot of that's coming in. The new 589's got a lot more automotive technology in it versus the 389. I'm still a 389, 379, 359 guy. But those days are gone. And the new 589 just had to have the digital dash and everything to keep up with everything that engine is now talking to the transmission and the truck with. So it's just one of those things where we have to keep moving.
Keep moving forward.
Yep.
True that.
And it's like Eric, when he was on, Eric Zerbruggen with Flood and Peterson, he was on. It was a very interesting podcast about the insurance.
Yep.
Insurance is getting more and more expensive. But everybody just kind of needs to know, kind of what your break even per mile, how many miles a week do you have to run? And most guys know all this. Who's driving? That seems so simple, but is it an owner operator? Is it an employee? How fancy do you want to go? Are you trying to attract drivers? Do you have plenty of drivers? Is it going to have some resale value in 3 years? We can do leases to where you just hand the keys back in. We can do track leases. I do a lot of straight trucks, trucks without fifth wheels, and we put bodies on them and everything. Yeah. Hydrovacs, hydro excavators, concrete pumpers, concrete mixers. So it just depends on what we want to do. We've got financing to do about everything you want. Got a great gal in Denver that does all our financing, everything from lease to purchase. And I've got a few other guys that'll do some RPOs, which is a rental purchase order.
Yeah.
Which is how a lot of the yellow iron guys work. And I spent some time with John Deere years ago. And guy gets a contract. He says, I need a motor grader now. So they get that out, and he starts renting it and rents it for a year. And then John Deere will apply, 70, 80% of his payments towards purchasing. So now he's got a nice down payment to go ahead and buy that piece of equipment. Then when the job's over, he just buys it out.
Yeah.
So we've got guys that'll do that with like hydrovacs, everything like that. So, and I work a lot with Ditch Witch, with their W8 and W12 hydrovacs, Tornado out of Red Deer, Alberta, and Toro now owns both of those.
Oh,
they
really?
own Ditch Witch. Now they own Tornado. So now they own the plant and the resale or the selling outlet, the dealer network or the dealer group. So that's always interesting to see how that's going to go. Great people, really, really good people to work with. So we've got something kind of for everyone. It just depends on what you need and where you're at. We can sell anywhere in the United States. And I know that you guys travel a lot too. You guys kind of go all over. Where's the farthest you've been?
Me? Arizona.
Okay. Well, that's not too bad.
Not too far.
It's a ways.
Ryan
it's a ways.
spent a few days out in Philadelphia last week doing some training. So,
yeah.
Yep. That's,
so
we're bouncing around. But.
You've got, just on this podcast, you've got guys, myself, I can go anywhere in the nation. I can sell anywhere in the nation. Be happy to help anybody anywhere in the nation. I've quoted trucks to Maine, Seattle, Miami, San Diego. So I've got about every corner covered. And I know Ryan's actually testified at Congress, hasn't he?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
The Department of Transportation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we can go anywhere. Ryan and Luke, they can be reached anywhere. And so you've got some good resources here to help you out. But I guess from my first solo podcast, that's probably about all I have. If anybody has any questions, just leave them in the comments on the podcast. Luke will get them to me. Make sure your email's in there, and I will be sure to return any and all emails. And if I need to call you, I'll be glad to call. So,
heck yeah.
I feel terrible for Ryan.
So bad.
Yeah.
Yep. He's got a drink in one hand and a beach view.
He texted me a picture. He's going to get it when he gets back. So. Yeah. There'll be a dent in the Camaro. Well, with that, that's everything I have today.
Perfect.
Luke, you got anything?
Nope. I am
all good.
Good.
All right, everybody. Well, take care. God bless you guys for what you do, and we'll see you soon.